Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM, New Orleans, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As always, sorry, I'm just trying to get myself organized. I got things flashing at me. So I think my computer's trying to do an update. We can't have that right now. Anyway, we're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for quite a few years now. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to do it without you. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro that you just heard. Justin is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms, including Bandcamp, Spotify, blah, blah, tongue-tied, iTunes, Amazon, you name it. Also, thank you, Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror genre and does great commission pieces of all types. So really excited tonight. Eric Mintel, this very, very talented man. I'm going to let him tell you guys all about himself, but very accomplished musician. Because see, some of us do have lives outside of the paranormal and stuff, huh? I know, it happens. It happens. It's a thing. I know. But, he does have Eric Mintel Investigates and does great locations. And also, ventures in different areas of high strangeness, such as, aside from the paranormal, Dogman, Bigfoot, UFOs, you name it. I've had so many requests for Dogman. I had to actually go and just research a bunch of stuff because I have to do somebody else's show on it. And I thought, oh my God. But it's just really hard. There's not a lot of people versed in it per se. And there's a lot of worldwide stuff, not just in the US. Of course, I dug into some Canadian content because people go, what? There's like Dogman up there? I'm like, yes. People have been talking about this.
Did they ask if it's behind the igloo?
Oh, yeah. Well, so anyway, it's just been pretty interesting regardless. But without further ado, and thank you to everybody. I see the chat room is already filling up. And again, guys, we've got like 8 locations simultaneously. Roku does not have a chat room. Rumble has a chat room. There's 3 different YouTube pages, a couple of Facebook pages. You know the drill. But again, we're also not going to interrupt our guests. We're going to sort of let him take the groove. As you know, we will get to everyone as we can. Flash up comments as we go along, questions, so on and so forth. We will get to you all. So, there we are. There we are. Hello. You made it in Rumble tonight, I see. Okay. So, without further ado, our very special guest, Eric Mintel. Hello. Oh, I need something.
Wait, now I got something really close.
Well, look at that. Okay, well,
there you go. Perfect. There you go.
Right. It's sitting on my stuffed taxidermy owl.
It is the season. It's the season, right? We gotta dress up.
It's the season for us all year.
It is. I love it. I do. I love it. So I'm
all year long.
Yes.
Well, it is. For some people, it is a lifestyle, and they get quite offended when you basically just say, oh, it's my favorite holiday.
She's speaking on her behalf.
I'm
just
Exactly.
I don't go shopping for home decor at Spirits of Halloween.
Yes, you do.
Hey,
No, actually, you shop at museums and castles. So yeah, you're right about that.
And I wanted to buy a 7-foot vampire the other day at the Home Depot. So, but that didn't happen.
Did you see the lady that did the 15-foot skeleton in disco ball mirrors?
Unbelievable.
People are talented.
That's something my daughter would actually let me do. Like she would be okay with it because it's all disco balled, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe when I heard how many hours it took her, I'm like, yeah, just watch your video.
I mean, that's an art. That's an art in itself. I mean, people are so creative that way. It's amazing, So it's cool, and it gets better and better every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are
it's so good to be with you guys.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I've really been looking forward to it. I think where we should start? I mean, I want to hear about how, of course, you got into the paranormal, because not everybody just falls into it. Usually it's from experiences. Sure. But tell us about your career as an accomplished, amazing musician.
Well, let's see. So where should I start? When I was,
I don't know, because it's a big spectrum between here to here.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, when I'm an only child, so my parents could always find me sitting at the piano, and coming up with all these melodies, trying to having an interest in the piano. And I think as early as like 3 or 4, they could find me at the piano, and then. And then at age 14, I found the music of Dave Brubeck. And some of your listeners might know Dave Brubeck. He had the very first record that went gold in jazz, in 1960, with that song. It was an album called Time Out, but there was a song in there called Take 5, which was written by his alto saxophonist, Paul Desmond. But so I found his music, and I took maybe a year's worth of piano lessons just to get the basics. And, it was funny because my piano teacher was trying to teach me Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I'm playing all this obscure, very difficult Dave Brubeck music. So he said, look, you know what, you're going to have to go your own way. That's so pretty much have been self-taught my whole career.
Right.
Have had incredible opportunities. Basically, I guess when I first started my group in 1993, I started doing the college circuit and everything, and then wanted to take the group to the next level. And long story short, I decided to call the White House. And we first performed 1998 for President Clinton, and then 2011 for Obama. So we've had wonderful opportunities with music. So, but I've always loved the paranormal. The paranormal's always been in the background.
Right.
And and then in 2016, I decided, look, I was always a filmmaker, and I liked editing, and I said, you know what, I was looking at a lot of paranormal TV shows, and I'm like, man, I could do something like that. I could do that. So I decided to start a TV show, and it was originally called Bucks County Paranormal Investigations, because that's where we are here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, I love Pennsylvania.
About an hour from Philly. Yep. And it's so we live in, oh my God, yeah. And we live in this area which has got an incredible history, paranormal history, ghosts, ties to the Underground Railroad. I mean, all kinds of weird stuff. UFOs, big UFO flap we had last year. So all kinds of stuff. So then we quickly changed it to Eric Mintel Investigates, because we were traveling all over the country investigating, you name it, UFOs, ghosts, Dogman, Bigfoot, all of which we've had encounters with.
Wow, I love that.
I kid you not. I mean, you can't write the stuff that we have encountered. It's unbelievable.
Right.
Joining me on the investigations, my high school friend, Dominic Sattel, who is basically, I didn't know at the time in high school that he was a spirit medium. We were practicing martial arts, doing all kinds of sports and stuff like that. But I think back then it was like one of those things like you didn't tell people.
No, because it's not. And if he's like most athletes, because one of my sons was super athletic, super gifted, and it was a matter of you're just too cool.
Right. Exactly.
To want to admit that you're actually gifted.
Exactly.
Right.
No.
Yeah. So he decided, then life goes in different sections. And hey, Michelle. And so life goes this way. And about 29 years later, in 2017, the year after I started the show, he came into the group and said, look, I might be able to help you out on these investigations. I'm a spirit medium. And I was like, what? I never knew this. So he's been really great as far as like giving us a preview of what we're in store for.
Right.
And, you know how it is. And on a lot of these investigations, what I do is I keep all of the paranormal history and any activity that's been going on to myself until we get on the site and see what happens to Dominic if he's going into those areas,
Yes.
So that's been
I
really,
like
really
that.
great. Yeah, and it's been really great to see. And then I'll tell him when he's about 99% on target, I'll kind of tell him what's going on. But man, it's been incredible to get that on video. And then all of a sudden, you know how it is, a story starts unfolding that nobody knew about. So it's really, really cool.
I love that. I've spent 20 years in the field of paranormal and high strangeness, and it really does. It's a journey of evolution, isn't it? Like you just start here thinking it's all about this, and by the time you get here, you realize how connected everything really is.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. And that's the thing with all of these investigations. Like, I got to be honest with you, I go into a lot of these sometimes skeptically. I go in with a healthy dose of skepticism because I don't want to say that every place is haunted, every place has a Bigfoot, every place has a dogman. But having said that, and then having captured what we've captured on video, I'm a real firm believer that there's a real thin veil from here to there. And at the end of the day, I always say it, people are seeing something and they're experiencing something, whether they're connected to it or they're picked to see these spirits, right? Or maybe it's in family lines. Maybe it's it's passed down from generation to generation. There you go. Yep.
Things find me, man. I'm starting to realize that, and I never realized that as much as I do now.
Yeah, and that's where you started there, and now you're here because now you realize, this has been a part of your whole life. So that's the other thing too. And I've had some weird experiences too when I was a kid. So, it's all coming full circle, and it's like all of this high strangeness and it's all, we're putting those puzzle pieces together. But that's why I love the paranormal and doing these investigations, because we are a lot of times putting ourselves in dangerous situations.
Oh, you are. And people don't realize that. Maybe we could talk about that. Yeah. It's not just what you see on television. Like you take risks.
Oh, big time. Yeah, it's crazy. We, especially when we did the Dogman investigation in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. I mean, I could talk about that if you want me to.
Yeah. We have so many requests for Dogman. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people have had experiences with them.
Well, I'll tell you, we've got firsthand experience where we were like maybe less than 100 yards away from this thing. And this was in October of 2021. This was October 3rd of 2021. But we did this investigation between October 2nd and the 4th. And long story short, a good friend and fan of ours, Ellen Collins, loves what we do. And she had said to me I think this was in July of 2020, you guys ought to do a video on the Beast of Bray Rd in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, right? Beast of Bray Rd is supposed to be an upright canine dogman werewolf-like creature. Walks on 2 legs, bipedal. And I said, well, that would be phenomenal. I would love to do that. But I said, how are we going to get out there? We're here in Pennsylvania. You're in Wisconsin. Who's going to pay to edit it? The whole 9 yards. Anyway, Ellen, she foot the bill for everything. She flew us out there and she paid for everything. And I made her the executive producer for the video. And we're forever in her debt. She was just an awesome lady. So we went out there in October of 21. But December of 2020, I had seen Lee Hampel, who has had all of this activity in Elkhorn, where on his farm, which is only 0.2 of a mile from Bray Road.
Right.
Getting all of this activity right there on the farm. And I saw him on a show, and I reached out to Lee and I said, "Hey, Lee," after I saw him on the show, he had a phone number on his website. We talked for 2 hours about coming out to do the investigation. He was totally open to it. So then fast forward October, finally, of 2021, we got out there. And I mean, immediately when we got out there, things were strange. So just to paint the picture a little bit here, Lee was a math teacher in the Wakanda, Illinois school system for 35 years, had no interest in the paranormal whatsoever. But he bought this hay farm from his mother's estate in 2011, I think it was. He didn't start farming there until 2013, when his neighbor said to him, "Oh yeah, by the way, Lee, that's where the creature is on your property."
It's great.
And he's like, "Oh, great, thanks, guys."
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's hiring, CIA agents.
Yeah, right. Well, he's like, Lee is like, I know Wisconsin is the home of alcohol, but I mean, the guys were serious. They were totally serious about this. So, but Lee, again, didn't think about that at all. He didn't care about that. He had no interest in the paranormal. So until one night in 2014, he's backing out of his driveway on the farm, and he looks back at the field and sees these two red glowing eyes staring right back at him. Then the thing jumps 15 feet in the air and disappears. Well, right there, it set him on this path of what is on my property. So the next day, he goes with his brother Fred, because Lee was now afraid to go back in the field. He goes with his brother Fred the next day and looks and finds a 7-pad, 5-toed track, which nothing has 7 pads.
No.
And then he finds they found all these weird square tracks as well. And so they started putting up trail cams all around the property. Then he started getting all kinds of weird stuff, UFO lights going through the woods. I mean, all kinds of this weird mist that's been happening on the property. He has a picture of this mist. It's unbelievable. So he has been putting, not now though, but he was putting roadkill deer in this area he calls the bait area to lure this creature in, right? So he has a picture of this weird black mist in the middle of the daytime that comes over the deer. And in the next picture, which is like 30 seconds later, the mist is gone and so's the deer.
Oh, come on.
So it's like, is this thing coming into our reality?
Yeah.
Is it an interdimensional thing?
Yes.
I know, right? Exactly.
Yes.
So, so we did that, and then so we saw that, and I was like, we were blown away by these pictures. I mean, he's got hair samples. I mean, hair samples under the microscope that they're translucent, and it's like there's no medulla in there. It's just completely translucent. He's been trying to get them DNA tested, but these places want thousands of dollars to get it tested, and he doesn't have that. But he's got some incredible pictures there that he's pretty much keeping pretty close to the vest. Because there are some pictures there that I saw that are, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, undeniable. That's something's there. There's been other people that have done, I have to say this too, there's been other people that have done investigations on the property, and they claim to have gotten pictures and video. No way. And I mean, I could tell you right now, we got probably the best. Even Josh Gates was out there. We got better video and evidence than they did. But it was unbelievable. And this was just something that we weren't even looking for.
Now, you're a smaller group, too, than a lot of these productions. I mean, I've again, filmed for like 2 decades. You're coming in with a crew. You're trying to capture something. They're not going to come around a group of people on average. If you're 2 or 3, I think you would stand a much better chance of seeing something like that.
And guess what, Michelle? We did.
Because kudos to you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's my stupidity was going out there thinking that we wouldn't see anything. I love your coffee cup, by the way.
Thank you.
So it was my stupidity of like going out there thinking that we wouldn't see anything. I thought, well, we're going to get a great documentary. We're going to talk to some really cool people, get some really cool stories, find out more about this thing. Cause I didn't really know too much about it. until I did more research. But again, never thinking once that we'd encounter this thing, and we did. So then to paint the picture a little bit more, the night of the investigation, there's a lot more to the story, and
we've got 2 hours. The stage is yours.
So earlier that day of October 3rd, we started doing some reconnaissance in the area. And basically, if people can picture this, Lee's hayfield is a big rectangle. It's 35-acre hayfield. So there's corn on one side, corn up top, and then there's corn on this other side. And the other side is where the bait area is as well, but that's lined with corn as well. But all the hay was down at this point. So we're basically going through the field, and Scott. So the people that were with us, it was just the four of us. It was me, Dominic, Sattel, the spirit medium, Ellen, our producer, and her son Scott, who was working the camera and working drone. So he was working the drone as we were going through the field. So he's got to wear virtual reality glasses for these drones. So we're going over the field, and in this one section of the field over by the bait area, we disappeared off of his screen on his glasses. Something was messing with the electronics in that area. He lifted the glasses up. We were still there, but digitally we were not there. So something was really weird there.
It's almost like it being veiled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because we had not only that happen, but we had a ton of stuff other happen. So we did that. We went over to that area, and we had steak dinner before, and we went over there and baited that area with steak bones that we had the night before. And then all day I'm thinking to myself, man, was that a good or bad idea? And so we go back to Lee's barn. Lee's got a presentation that for like 2 hours we're watching video, looking at all these incredible pictures. And then I finally just said, Lee, can we do an investigation in the field back there? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. Just be careful. Whatever you do, be careful. So I said, okay. And he wanted to give us a flare gun, right? And I just decided not to do that again because I thought we were just not going to see anything. So we had to get on four-wheelers to get out to the area, the bait area, because it's a half a mile to get out there.
And you left the flare gun.
We didn't take it. And we didn't take, we took nothing. We took no protection.
Wow.
Just too excited and didn't think about it? Or
Me being stupid. Just, not thinking that anything would be out there. Not even bear spray. So we just had a flashlight and a radio. That was it. Walkie-talkie. So we get out to the area, and we were thinking we'd probably have to scrub the investigation because it looked like it was getting cloudy, like it was going to rain, but it didn't. And we got out to that area, and we get off the four-wheelers, and Dominic looks up, and it's completely clear sky. And then all of a sudden we see a solid orb of light going over the field, silent, about 1,000 feet up. And you can see other planes around it, right? So you see it silent going over. We're like, what the hell is that? And we're looking at this thing. Ellen's looking at it. We're trying to see whatever, there's planes over here, plane over there. And this thing's just going over. And then it's starting to pick up speed. And then we see it do a 45-degree angle and blinks right out. It disappeared. That was the first thing. Then right after that, we hear in the distance a howl, not a coyote. Very long.
Coyotes are whiny and high pitched.
They sound like crying dogs. I have them in my backyard.
Type.
And this was more of a droning kind of sound. Then we hear a second howl coming closer, and it's almost like right behind us, or we're thinking it's behind us. And Dominic goes to Ellen as she's still looking for the UFO. He goes, "Are you hearing these howls?" And she goes, "Yeah, they're coming from over that way, from the other side of the field." And with that, we hear the third howl, which was so loud, and it was only about less than 100 yards away. To me, it was this sound that sounded like a man screaming in this field. It was this low, guttural scream, growl, yell combination. We've had hunters listen to this sound. We've had sports, hunters and outdoors guys and girls listen to this. Nobody could figure out what it is. And it does. And a lot of people do say the same thing I do, that it sounds like a person.
So it's got a human vocal tone to it.
Yeah, it's very, very much so.
Wow.
Now, here's the other thing to paint the picture. So we had little lavalier microphones that we put on, for close miking. You know what they are.
Yes,
So
yes.
It was so loud on site, so much louder that those little lavalier microphones picked it up. And I didn't manipulate the audio or anything like that. It's raw audio of what we heard that night. And people could go check it out on my YouTube channel. It's right there. It's called The Beast of Bray Rd, Alive and Well. And right after that, we heard that. It changed my whole perspective on what's out there. Then after the howl, okay, so we're we were like this. I'm like, the fear factor was there. It's like, but it was like, what are we hearing? What is this? And so then all of a sudden a weird mist started coming up from the field. Again, this mist that Lee's been getting, right?
Yes.
And it was starting to mess with the audio. Our cameras were fine. But Scott's GoPro could not connect. He couldn't get that thing to connect.
Oh.
We had a GoPro right in the bait area to see if we could get something taking the bones or whatever, but he couldn't get that thing to connect. So that was weird. So then we see this weird mist coming up, and it was just the weirdest thing. And then what really got me was when Dominic said, look, we're all getting this uneasy feeling out there. And now this dog man is supposed to be 6 to 7 feet tall. Dominic says to Scott, shine the light over to the corn where we heard those howls. So Scott shines it over there, and wouldn't you know it, 7 feet up in the corn, you could see yellow eyes going like this.
Yellow this time. Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It was looking at us. Like you could see that something was clearly over there. And that was it, man. I was like, okay, we got to get out of here. Because it's like, I got that fear factor thing. Like, okay, this is telling us this is its territory. Get out of here.
Yes.
Because who knows what it was going to do, right? I didn't know.
Yes.
I mean, we haven't heard any stories of this thing attacking anybody, but and Michelle, Amelia, here's the other thing. I don't know why I didn't do this when we first did this, but only about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I listened to those howls on headphones. I didn't do this before. I don't know why, but I listened to the headphones listened to the howls on the headphones. And on that second howl that people will hear, there's a grunt. There's a grunt that happens behind us. And it's like a little bit of a like that. And I know we were hungry. It wasn't our stomachs, but this thing, it was, so we were closer than we've realized to whatever was there.
Yes. Wow.
Then, it gets better. It gets better. Then the entire town of Elkhorn lost power that night. And there was
hold on a second.
No.
And then in the morning, I looked down my floor in my hotel room, and it looks like I brought a stick back from the field that we were in. And Dominic goes, "You brought it back with you, didn't you?" And the weirdest thing, it was just so weird. Then we did a follow-up, right? We did a follow-up on this 6 months later. Thank you, Ellen, again, for having us go out there again. So she brought us back out again. We did the follow-up investigation, but this time we did not encounter it. And I'm glad we didn't encounter it, not only for the, whatever it was, but I'm glad we didn't encounter it because people would have thought we were faking it, But it was not there. But we went over to the field where we heard the howls. Now, this time, all the corn was down. So it was a huge open field at this point. So you could see all over there. And you could see in these woods as well that we originally saw these UFO lights going through. So we went over to the field and we did some investigation in there. We found a lot of square tracks. You know how a gorilla would like walk on its knuckles?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were thinking maybe this is a knuckle walker, and the back and its back legs are those pads, those tracks. So anyway, so we're in the field, right? Here's the weirdest thing. We go back to the hotel and we had our hotel room keys in our pockets. All of our keys were demagnetized.
Oh. So, what would cause that?
That's what I'm thinking. There's some really there's got to, because we got zapped. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we got zapped.
Yes. Yes.
And
That's a lot of magnetic energy, though. What did you walk through? That mist, I'm thinking.
or that problem that Scott was having earlier with the drone.
Which
So
showed up with the mist, though, didn't it? The second time? With
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
So it could be something like, there's areas all around the world that have those ley lines and all the high energy.
Oh, yes.
I think Elkhorn is one of those areas, and I think it runs right on Lee's property. So there is so much more going on out there than me.
Wisconsin has been, showing a lot of signs and evidence. I mean, it's known for a lot of mounds. It's known for a lot of pre-Columbian stuff. And we all know that the ancient people always gathered around power spots. So how many power spots?
Oh, yeah.
Are you coming across?
I'm reading one of the comments. You survived. At least it wasn't hungry. But you know what? Who knows? I mean, there's also been stories of people haven't been attacked by this thing. There's no story.
I was going to say, you don't
hear
it.
that.
No.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like, it's not, it's the weirdest thing. Lee's been getting these pictures, but they're always like, so either it's up close to the trail cam, or it's this mist type thing, or it's just not seen at all. It's like blends into its environment. It's like a deer. You have a deer. It's right there, but it's so blended into the environment you can't see it. Until, you're really looking.
It seems like it can project what it wants you to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not surprised about the orbs because, there's a lot of sightings around different cryptids where they see the orbs or they'll see crafts or they call, the spirit lights that just dance around as well.
It was crazy. He's got a video of these UFO lights going through the woods. And when I first saw that, I thought to myself, well, maybe they're four-wheelers going through the woods and that's what the light is. That's what it is. But we went over to those woods on the second investigation, and there's no way it could be four-wheelers because the trees are so thick in there that you have to stop every second to try to move around the trees. So these lights are going really super smooth through it. And again, you could see it on the video and make a judgment for yourself. But I'll tell you, it was just one of those things that really changed my whole perspective on what's out there. Because again, I was on the fence even with Bigfoot, but then a week later, what do? We come home and we start investigating Bigfoot in the New Jersey Pine Barrens. And
there's a lot of sightings out there.
Well, it's crazy. Well, you have the Jersey.
That.
Yeah, you have the Jersey Devil, right? Everybody knows about the Jersey Devil. But I always thought the Jersey Devil could have been possibly a misidentification of Bigfoot, So I don't know. People are getting these reports of these 5 or 6 foot tall hairy beings on 2 legs, walking on 2 legs, going into neighborhoods, and they're not people, going into neighborhoods, getting the garbage and going back out into the woods. And Eric Spinner, who's a good friend of mine, he's a great Bigfoot researcher, and his buddy Art Mack, they do a lot of research. And he's been getting hair samples. He's been getting casted tracks. So very, very strange stuff. So we decided, let's go out there and do an investigation and see what we could capture on camera. So we get out to so this was October 11th of 2021. And again, it was a week after we came back from Elkhorn. Of course, we're still jumped up from the Elkhorn investigation. And poor Dominic, man, I'm like dragging him into these cryptid investigations where he's like, he's a spirit medium. He doesn't hunt cryptids or anything, So he's like, where are you dragging me now? And that really freaked him out, that investigation out in Wisconsin. But he went out there to the Pine Barrens, and we went about, if anybody knows the Pine Barrens, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of just dense forest. So basically, we go into this area called the Bowl, and it just sounds like it's high on either side and it's low in the middle, just like it sounds, like a bowl. And we went 5 miles into the Pine Barrens, and then got about 600 yards into the Pine Barrens after we parked and set up base camp. So we're sitting there, and Art and Dominic are talking about, the protocols, what they do, how they're going about with their research. So all of a sudden, and I got to say this right off the bat, and this is no offense to any of the Bigfoot researchers out there, but every time I see a Bigfoot show, I always see these guys whooping and hollering and hitting trees and stuff like that, and saying to myself, is that what they really sound like? But as Dominic and Art are talking, I'll be damned if we didn't hear a whoop coming from the woods. So then Eric Spinner had high-powered microphones going. So we stopped and I said, did you guys hear that? And so then Eric's wife, Heather, and we have this all on camera, she goes to answer it back and this thing whoops back at her. Like not once, but like 5 times. And it was the weirdest thing. And it was mimicking what she was doing. And I could tell you, there was nobody down there. This is an isolated part of the Pine Barrens. So there's nobody down there. So that was amazing to get that on video. And then, so again, it changed my whole perspective on what's out there. Then we did some tree knocks and didn't really have anything happen after that, but it was fascinating. But fast forward to last year, just last September, we did another follow-up to Bigfoot in the Pine Barrens, the same thing. We went to the same area and got even more activity. I mean, it was just insane. We were sitting at base camp and Art unfortunately now has got to go. He's going through some cancer treatments. He's got to take, but to look at him, you wouldn't think anything's wrong with him, but he's got to take medications, but he's sitting there and he goes, guys, I don't know if it's the medications I'm taking or what, but my heart is really racing right now. Well, with that, we hear a cracked branch behind us. And all of a sudden, we all whip around, and the camera person whips around, and here you see a branch just going like this. Something just hit it. Then for 2 seconds, I saw 2 yellow eyes about 7 feet up, and they disappeared. And you also heard this rustling and this stomping going back into the swamp area. So we couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And we were really jumped up this time. It was more like, wow, what the hell's going on here? And so we did this investigation. We didn't see any tracks or anything like that. We couldn't really get any, there was a lot of leaf litter. So we really didn't see any tracks, but to get that evidence was crazy. And I'm going to say this because I don't know if any of your listeners, this might sound crazy, but Art and Dominic were talking earlier before we got to the bowl. And the one of the reasons why we brought Dominic down this time was to see, Eric wanted to see what the paranormal aspects would be of Bigfoot in the Pine Barrens.
Oh, gosh.
Is Bigfoot a ghost? Is that why people can't see him? Is he interdimensional? What is going on?
It's all quantum. Well, there's a lot of quantum research being done with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but what he was talking with Art about was how Art has this really weird connection with Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Right. So you guys remember E.T., right? Remember E.T. and Elliot, how they had that symbiotic relationship, right? They could feel each other's feelings. Well, that's how Dominic was actually feeling with Art, that Art was connected to Sasquatch in a way that Sasquatch is seeing through Art's eyes. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because of Art sitting there saying that his heart was racing. And then we heard the sound. Was this thing in the woods looking at us? And then realized what happened and then took off. And this is and it was connected with Art somehow. So that was one aspect of that I thought,
That's interesting.
And there's been some research on that kind of connection. And I don't know how don't ask me how that connection works. I don't know how Dominic came up with that, but he had seen that Art had spirits around him. And that's what Dominic does. He's a spirit medium. So he'll see, as he describes it, he talks to dead people. He sees spirits behind people. And it's not anything malevolent. It's nothing scary. It's people that are loved ones. They're for protection. So it's amazing. I don't know how he does it. I mean, we just were at a premiere of a video we did a couple of weeks back in Connecticut, and when he's doing spirit readings on the events, he usually does people. And a woman came in, sat down, and she was kind of like blasé, like oh, you only do people. And he goes, well, I do animals. And then she got a little bit more attentive.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I'm actually sensing a kind of a large animal with you. And she's a little bit more attentive. And he goes, I'm sensing a horse. And basically she owns a horse farm. And she was there to ask him about this horse that had just recently, her favorite horse that recently passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just weird how he got that. So I don't know why and how he does that, but I don't have those feelings. Like when I go into a location, I don't have those feelings like they do.
But you're usually the person, like in my situation, I'm always the one in the forefront that everybody tells everything to.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I pick up all kinds of stuff, but for me, it's what I would call contaminated information because I already know it. So you want somebody who doesn't know it to come in and give you the findings.
Yep.
It just makes it more credible, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
But horses are just so smart. I mean, we filmed a TV show at one point where there was a horse, and there was something malevolent in the arena part of the stables. And I looked at him because he kept panicking. I was going, is there something here? This bloody horse went down and put one leg flat down, went like this. And I was like,
wow.
And so I started asking it questions, and it would go like this for a no, or it would go back down like a big swing to a yes.
Wow.
And they caught this thing.
That's scary.
That's wild.
I know it's unbelievable, but they are brilliant. So it's funny how it doesn't surprise me that this horse that your friend picked up on would find a way.
To communicate.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, totally. And even dogs too have that, where they won't go in an area that they feel like there's a spirit there or something,
Some people use them for investigations. I don't really like that a whole lot because it's easy for things to attach to animals. And animals can't really communicate for themselves.
No.
Unless you're that horse.
Oh I mean, the exorcism of Emily Rose, Annalise Michel, she ran out to the barn, and then the barn, all the animals just ran and didn't come back for a few days. That wasn't creative.
No, animals are definitely into
it. That wasn't creative contribution on the film. That actually happened.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they sensed Nero was near.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff I love it because it's fascinating to me. But the other thing is too, we do put ourselves in that situation where we're boots on the ground investigating. You know how it is. It's like you're in those situations. You're in a dangerous situation. We were in. Here's the other thing I didn't realize with Dogman. Dogman sightings are happening all the time, all over the world.
Yes,
I didn't realize.
Yes,
yeah, I didn't realize this. Yes. There's more going on in like the Michigan area, Michigan Dogman. Mm-hmm. But out here, outside of Philadelphia, there's an area called Bryn Athyn.
Yes.
And I just heard about this. We did a video on it a couple of years ago, the Bryn Athyn Beast. And that's supposed to be a dogman there that people have been seeing since around the early 90s.
Half an hour from me.
Yep. There you go. So you're in Bryn Athyn area?
No. I'm actually in southern. I'm just across the border over New York and Canada.
Oh wow! Okay.
I'm out of New Orleans, and the whole area is loaded with them. But this specific, it's called the Port Robinson Beast. And if you're familiar with the Welland Canal, when they split through the Port Robinson to build the canal, that's when this beast started, and crazy reports come through. It paces cars.
So it's funny. I was just speaking at the Mothman Festival recently.
Yes.
And I saw some comments here about the Mothman, and that was amazing. I was just down there in September. That festival is unbelievable. It's like 20,000 people were there. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And I got a chance to speak, and everybody was so cool. But yeah, the Mothman is another thing that I think that just happened like maybe one time. I don't think people think the Mothman caused the bridge collapse, and that wasn't the case either.
He was there
to help.
Yeah.
He was there to say, hey, look, you got to fix this thing.
What happened in Japan when that nuclear plant went off? They captured something winged in the sky. There was all kinds of stuff about it at the time a few years ago.
That was very strange too. Yeah. So if you really go back, there is a lot of stories that go way back. I mean, go back to the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
These stories have been around for millennia. Yeah. So it's been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So the dog man, I found out, has been all over the place. And then we did this investigation of the Beast of Bray Rd, and I'll tell you, it's another dog man. But it's happening. It was starting to happen around the 90s. And that's also when people started seeing the Beast of Bray Rd again, was in the early 90s.
Right.
So a buddy of mine, Tom Carey, which some of your listeners may know, he is like the world's authority on the Roswell UFO crash.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he's also talked to some of the witnesses, the actual original witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. And the people that actually handled the craft or the wreckage and saw the alien bodies. But he's also an anthropologist, and he latched onto this dog man, which was phenomenal. So, and then we got witnesses that were coming up talking about seeing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing this thing coming out of these portals of light.
Oh,
which is
thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's a big
Finally,
theory.
somebody said the quiet part out loud.
Yes, because it's a big theory that cryptids do. It's why they come in and out and we don't always see them. Like, how do you explain how is it right behind you and you least expect it?
Exactly. Or, somebody should do a mapping of when you have a dogman sighting at any part of the world and try to map that, try to pinpoint those areas and try to link them together to see if they form any
lines, power spots.
Yeah. So it was amazing. So, I mean, we did an investigation down in that area that night. We were on a lot of the areas that people had seen this thing. And we took a magnetometer. Now, when we do ghost investigations and things like that, we don't use the REM pods. We don't use spirit boxes or anything like that. And the only reason why we don't do that is because they're going to give you a false reading if you've got high energy, like equipment near it.
REM pods, EMFs for sure.
Yeah. So we were basically in a field, and we just basically had an electromagnetic, magnetometer. And we're in this field that guy had this sighting, and the thing is going off the charts. I mean, it was crazy in this one area that they're having all of this activity. But then we heard this weird disembodied voice in the field with us. So that's on the video as well. It's called the Beast of Bray Rd. Really, really cool stuff. But we pretty much got out of there. But that was those are the two dogman encounters that we've had. And
have you ever heard about the lake, the land between the lakes?
I have.
And what are your thoughts on that? Because you have both components being, of course, dogman, highly aggressive, and more than one. I mean, they just rip people to shreds. And then you have Bigfoot, who've been nicknamed like the face eaters. And there's apparently they figure military cover up. Like they cleared out the whole region. Not suspicious.
Let me tell you something about that. There was a newspaper story that I guess it was maybe about a year and a half ago. Down the street from me, there was a chiropractor who's also a Bigfoot researcher. Collects Bigfoot, all kinds of memorabilia, art, news stories and whatnot. His brother, and in the story it was talking about this. His brother's in the military, and they had to do a pinning ceremony because he was going to the next level of the military, and they call it a pinning ceremony where it takes place at the Pentagon. So he said he was in the Pentagon walking down this hallway, and he looked over and saw this door that said Bigfoot Research Center. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that, that's
well, a land before the lakes. They were witnesses that claimed that they saw military drive out of there with some super cage with a big dog man in it, and I mean, when Mount St. Helens blew, I mean, I mentioned this before.
Oh, right.
He put out helicopters. I think there were 2 or 3 of them.
That I did.
Them.
Oh my God, that's one thing that I realized too. Yeah, when Mount St. Helens blew,
Yeah.
There were a lot of Bigfoots that were taken out of there, and that was all hush hush.
Do we
But
call them
witnesses
Bigfoots or
took
Big Feet?
pictures and they came forward and they said, we saw this. And it happened just recently. I actually screenshotted the photo because I can't remember where the location was, but it was a different location that they were moving one.
Crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at one of your questions here. Did I ever investigate the skunk ape in South Georgia? But no, I would love to.
Mhm.
I've been trying to get down there because there is that's another cryptid that people are seeing and that have been seeing all the time. And not only seeing, but they're smelling it too.
We
But
could connect you up with the people. There's a Bigfoot team in Florida. They've been on the show. They're amazing.
oh,
If
that'd
you
be
want
phenomenal.
to, I will put you in contact. They've got tons of stuff. They've been investigating for years.
She
Oh,
can
yeah, that
send
would
you
be
to Alaska too.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I'll
Well,
get
guess
the
what?
info.
You know, we could probably, if we can, if they'd be interested. So good friends of mine are in Florida, and you probably remember this actor, Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers. Do you remember him?
I do.
Yeah, he was on Beverly Hills 90210 and all this kind of stuff. But he was in that iconic, sci-fi. But him and his wife live in Florida, and they want to go on an investigation with us so bad. So we're going to have celebrity investigators on with us.
That would be
Aw.
fun. That would be
Skunk
fun.
ape.
No,
I'm
I will connect you with these
Oh,
people.
that'd
They
be great.
know all the spots. They're
That'd be
just
awesome.
a husband and wife team. They just came on, and
Even Nick
fascinating
Redfern
stuff.
would be a
Oh.
good
That's
Nick
awesome.
Redford, Ken Gerhard, both of them would be good.
Oh yeah, they're
You
great.
think, Michelle? Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know if these guys are right in Florida. This is what they
No,
do.
I'm saying if you're going the other way. No,
if you're
I'm
going
saying
the other
if you're
way.
going the other way because Nick is in Texas. I can't remember where Ken
Yeah.
moved to. I can't
But
remember.
There's also the skunk ape type in the bayous of Louisiana. We can get you up with our producer, or like in New Orleans. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a lot of stuff goes on in that swamp. They've had UFO encounters, grays,
Wow.
everything in there. Oh yeah,
Missing time.
Oh,
oh
missing time too?
everything.
Yeah. Jokes
Oh,
had it.
It's not far from where he lives. We could
wow.
definitely see if
How
he
much
was.
time did he miss? Was it 4 hours? He and
That
his
was in
wife?
Florida.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Well,
was in
that's
Florida.
what this is. Okay, so missing time is another component out in Elkhorn with these dogman because Lee and Jay Bachochin, another researcher, they lost 2 hours.
Okay, so this is going to. I have to pose this question. Do you think that they're a race of extraterrestrial beings?
You know what? I'm open to anything, so I don't know.
See,
I
the
would,
missing time thing,
I'm
the
going to say,
balls of light, the crafts, the portals, interdimensional beings, like they're a race of some sort.
oh, definitely. I'm going to say this too. There's a picture that Lee has of these like 5 orbs in the middle of the daytime. Also, really close to the camera, it looks like the creature, right? You could see the outline of this thing, but you see these orbs in the background in
Mhm.
the sky, and in those orbs, it looks to me like it could be the creature, like
Mhm.
it's something in there. Because, and the only reason I'm saying that is because the when we saw the UFO go over that night, right after that is when we heard the howls. So
Mhm.
I'm wondering, did these things just deposit from these or from that UFO that was going over? So,
Yes, that's right.
so extraterrestrial, that was a big time possibility that we thought, could
Mhm.
this be coming that way? And then the other thing was, could these things have manipulated space and time somehow that they could
Mhm.
come through these portals?
Oh, just like very
Yeah,
easily, very easily. But again, it leads to think that maybe they are just a race, not these. Were they always here? I don't know, because there's so many. Like in Canada, they figure like the indigenous is like no, they came in with settlers from France, and because France had an influx in them, and they were battling these things.
right.
Hello, we're talking this 1600s.
Yep.
And they start coming over to the new world and they bring their traditions with them. Is that how maybe it started? I don't know. Like there's a lot to that. And there's a real degree of intelligence with them as well. But here's a good question here. Amelia, you want to get it?
Yes. Hi, Heidi. How many people or witness experiences are actually the same cryptid, just perceived differently? That's a really good question.
That's a good question. That's a really good question because people, it is perception. We were also talking about, could we be manifesting the paranormal? Could our thoughts be manifesting those realities that we're stepping into? Those paranormal realities. So you're seeing that people are perceiving, say, an alien abduction. But then, is it a dream? It could be something else? Could it be sleep paralysis?
They're all connected. Paranormal, sleep paralysis, the same thing as what some experiencers and abductees have talked about.
Well, the thing is, and here's the other thing too. I had a discussion last night. I was doing a talk. I've been 28 days in a row this month doing talks and premieres every day. And last night, I was talking to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and she was talking about sleep paralysis and how those images in your mind could be perceived as aliens or whatever sometimes, and we're manifesting that. But I said, I understand that, but I wasn't manifesting those howls that I heard in Elkhorn. That was real. They were there. So the missing time factor is something like, that's a whole nother ball game.
It is.
That I don't really, that's something that actually we've been trying to look into a little bit more. I'm good friends with, you guys remember Bud Hopkins, the guy that wrote Missing Time, and good friends with his buddy, Peter Robbins. And he and I have been talking about doing some research in that area. But also just like, the UFO abduction, there's a lot more going on with that than really is being talked about.
Absolutely. I'm an experiencer.
Oh, wow. There you go. Okay.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of it. And I think as well, people, it's hard to tell the difference because paranormal, there's so many similarities between the paranormal and being an experiencer contactee. All these experiences I had as a kid. Now I start remembering because it's generational for me, after speaking with, my family. And now I'm thinking, was that really paranormal or was that extraterrestrial?
Yeah.
And your thinking mindset and your faith, our conditioning, also changes our perception of what we encounter or what we see or experience.
I totally believe that. And the thing is, the things that we experience as kids, transfers over into, our adult life, whereas, me, I'm an only child. So I was basically like a latchkey kid when I came home. My parents were working and I'd have to come home and sit in front of the TV. But one night it was the weird, and I don't know if this was a dream or not, but one night I was probably maybe 5 or 6, and my parents were going out for the night. And I remember looking out the window we had a little duplex. So we were we were on the bottom floor. Somebody was up on the top. And I remember looking out the window to them and waving goodbye to them. And I remember my dad waving goodbye back and then turning around inside the house and seeing the shadow come down the hallway. And it was and it was weird because I will never forget the image. It looked like someone wearing like an African headdress.
Crazy.
It was doing this like shimmy down the hallway. And I thought to myself, well, here's the other thing. It could have been the babysitter. I don't know. But
does she have some wild hair going on?
That almost sounds like the Ouija board. Zozo. When people see them, they see them like that.
It was weird. And I was like, and it was just like, something that always stuck with me. And then later, I just found out about this just blew me away the other day. There's a group on Facebook. It's called the Red Grid Group. Okay. And it's basically people waking up in the morning with these red grid marks on their arms or places on their body that are they look like something just grilled into them. It was like a series of dots that looks like a
that's crazy.
Like a grill.
Have you heard of Terry Lovelace? Do you know Terry Lovelace? And he's an experiencer, abductee, and he had like dot things that looked a little bit like.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're abductees.
It's check it out on Facebook. It's the Red Grid group, and that's what it is. These are like red grid marks that are like little tiny red dots, boom, 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 that look like they're in a perfect symmetry.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
had triangular ones on my legs, but never like a grid.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I've had triangles a couple
Well, definitely
times.
check that out and see if the patterns look similar.
well, when I was a kid, I had on my arm, it was called, well, they called it a fishnet rash. And it looked like somebody just branded my arm with a fishnet with these tiny little like squares.
Ah,
So it was really weird. I don't know what it was, but it went away. But then I saw this group and I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what mine looked like. So very, very strange.
so
But
what are they saying it is?
they're not saying anything. They don't know
Okay.
what it is. But
Interesting.
they're also saying that they're also experiencing UFOs and they're also experiencing maybe alien abductions.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I've had that, but it's like, maybe, who knows? The subconscious is really
Mm-hmm.
something that is, we don't know, that's not really been explored a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we block out certain things too, right?
Well, yes, for
I mean,
various reasons, for
you know,
sure.
when I was younger too, I was walking home from a friend's house from an overnight, and I got attacked by two Dobermans. I mean, I was on the road walking home, and these dogs came just
Oh,
barking, barking. And to this day, when I hear a dog bark, that's why out in Elkhorn, I had that PTSD moment for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But I was like, my God, and I wound up like wailing one of the dogs with my overnight bag, and it went away. But it did enough that it bit me right in the butt, and it like drew blood. My dad was so pissed. He went
Well,
down.
back
Uh,
then we're probably around the same age, or maybe I'm older than you. There were no leash laws, so you
yeah,
risk walking home when we were kids.
pretty much. I don't know. I'm
Um,
12 years old still in my mind, so I don't know.
I like to hang out about 21, so I'm legal for everything.
There you go. Perfect.
I don't like to stay 12 because then I can't watch horror
That's true.
films. I can't drink.
I'm right there. I'm right there
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
I think Eric just bounced over to 21.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, crazy.
Right.
But you never. Here's the thing, though. You never lose your sense of wonder, right?
Mm.
That's the one thing
Yeah.
with this paranormal that I love is that, and also being a human being, we can't lose our sense of wonder, right?
Mhm.
The world is crazy right now with everything going on politically. It's just insane.
Mhm.
But you just can't lose sight of the sense of wonder of the world and what's out there, and
Yeah.
just keep investigating these things because eventually, and we're all trying to go for the truth. We're trying to get that truth or whatever that is.
Mhm.
And we're getting closer. And, there's, it's funny because we always leave with more, and I'm sure you know this too. You leave with more questions than answers,
Always.
always.
Always. Every time you take a turn in the road, there are more questions. And the fact for me, especially with cryptids, is when you have the governments and military involved, you know that you're onto something. You know it's something substantial because otherwise, why would they care? I mean, do in the forests of California, it's illegal to kill one. You'll get charged with murder.
Oh, yeah.
So,
A friend of mine in Whitehall, New York, Paul Bartholomew, who's also a researcher,
mhm.
he actually had legislation passed to protect the Bigfoot up there from being shot
Excellent.
because the Bigfoot, there's so much documented evidence in Whitehall, New York, of this Bigfoot from this, I think, the mid '70s, but they've been seeing it a little bit more as time is going on. So yeah, they're. And that was really cool to see, and to have that kind of belief system, right?
Oh, yes.
There's a level of forward thinking there,
Mhm. Oh, I think so.
It's great to
But
see that.
I think you would agree with me with respects to finding a way to putting your fear aside and keeping your common sense in place. Because unlike the paranormal, which you have to have a great degree of common sense, because you never know what you're going to walk into. But with cryptids, it could actually cause a lot of harm, like physical. harm
Mm.
if you're not on the ball.
Yeah.
Like you say, well, we went into the field and we didn't bring the flare. What?
I know. Well, that's
Because you don't expect to see anything, right? I mean, as researchers, how often do you really see something?
you don't see it, and that's the thing too. You don't really see, when we do it. Very rarely do we capture like an orb on camera, or hear a disembodied voice, or see a apparition, shadow, anything like that. We
Mhm.
see it when we're doing the post production,
Right.
when I'm doing the editing.
Mhm.
But there have been those times when we have seen some really weird stuff.
Mhm.
Recently, we did, believe it or not, a haunted library, and
Oh,
we were getting all kinds of weird stuff there. Um, and I'm very fortunate to have people work with me, that people love what we do. I mean, and this is not what I'm going to say here is not about ego, but the other day
mhm.
I was walking around Spirit Halloween with my daughter, and Spirit Halloween is a big Halloween store. It's a
Oh,
big
yes.
big Halloween chain,
Yes.
with costumes and whatnot. So my daughter and I were walking around, and I'm going to check out, and the girl at the counter goes, "Oh my God, my coworker loves you. She loves your show. She loves
Oh,
your."
that's nice.
I said, "Really?" I said, "Where is she?" And she came out. We got a selfie and everything. But to me, I thought, wow, this is so cool. I'm putting so much. You have no idea. Well, you probably know, but it's so much hard work to put into these videos. It's hundreds of hours of
It
editing,
is.
so
It
much
is.
time. But to have somebody like that that's
Mhm.
really enjoying our show is really, that just really warmed my heart, and I thought that was really, really cool.
And it's what fuels the drive,
Yeah,
to move forward and do more because you realize it's reaching people.
right,
And
exactly.
there's nothing more humbling than somebody saying, "Oh my god, I really enjoyed this piece. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed how you explained this. I really like this location."
Well,
Right?
that's what we try to do. We're all about truth-based investigating. There's no hokey stuff.
Mhm.
Maybe when we first started our videos years ago, we were doing a little tongue-in-cheek stuff, goofy stuff. We were being goofballs, but we got
Mhm.
really serious when people started saying, "Hey, could you investigate my bed and breakfast? Could you investigate my restaurant?" So now
Mhm.
it's kind of turned into this paranormal tourism TV show where we're showing people where to go, where to stay, where to
Mhm.
experience these things, because now restaurants and inns are different. Whereas before it would be like, whoa, we don't want to be known for that.
No.
But now they're like, oh yeah, bring it on, baby. It's like, because
Because it's good for business, right?
paranormal, let me tell you, there's a saying, ghosts are good for business,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
people love to experience those experiences. And if you
Yeah.
do it in a way that's entertaining,
Mhm.
yeah,
Taking away the fear, and I think that's a really big aspect of it because we've been so conditioned with through horror movies and such,
oh
and
yeah.
and even, upbringing in the faith system. Oh, you know,
Well,
like
yeah, my daughter went to go see Terrifier 3 tonight, and
oh boy.
it's insanely grotesque and gory,
Mhm,
and I don't want to go. I don't want to put that. My show's very family friendly, and that's
yeah,
what
Mhm.
movies want to. And if anybody knows me, I don't exacerbate and heighten the evil factor of all this stuff.
mhm,
You are very,
No.
like, very family friendly, and I always say, look, if there's a place being haunted, they just liked being there.
mhm.
That entity, that spirit liked being there. They may not even know they shouldn't be there, but it's nothing malevolent. Nothing.
Mm.
No, and you have a great energy as well that comes off on the screen, and it's contagious for the audience.
Oh,
So
thank you. I appreciate that.
no, I watched a few episodes on like few clips on YouTube today, and I was just like, this is really nice. Like it feels really good. It's energetic, it's uplifting. It doesn't feel that doom and gloom like you
Oh,
see
cool.
on some paranormal
Because
shows.
Well,
that
that's
is
glad to hear
mainstream
that.
television. It is
Yeah.
the fear factor of everything.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
exactly. And that's what I wish, that we could change that. And that's why I'm trying to get the Travel Channel or History Channel to
Mhm,
pick us up, because we could really make a difference there.
You
mhm.
Uh,
might be better on Netflix or Prime.
or something. If anyone's out there listening to this, if you have or you're a producer, please let me know, because we've got some great footage. I mean, these things are like ready to go.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's fascinating. I just love doing these things too, because they're obviously, we have to make a living too. So that's
It
it's
makes it tough because it's expensive to travel and such.
yeah,
But if
and
you're on YouTube, YouTube they do have channels with
oh yeah,
actual, and they do fund television shows.
yeah, that's another thing that I'm thinking about too.
Mhm.
But yeah, Richard says the Paraflix network too. That's cool. Maybe I'll have to look into. I've been so inundated doing the videos. That end of it. You to try to get. We went for a while. We were like talking to a guy that actually he was the guy that created that show Pawn Stars. Pawn
Right.
Stars,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and he was interested in us to do a paranormal show.
Right.
Man, we got contracts signed. Everything was all good to go. We're all excited about doing the pilot. And then, boom, the next day they pulled everything because they felt like they didn't know the paranormal that well. And I
But
was like,
their job is to produce it. I have been fortunate to have worked with incredible producers who they do their job and they've trusted me to do mine.
that's great. That's
You
all.
know,
And
that's what you need.
that's a good team right there.
Yeah. But
And
that's hard to find.
oh, it very well is. Oh, for sure. And even with like in my jazz life, my jazz quartet, we've been together 20 plus years as
That's
a
amazing.
jazz quartet.
Wow.
I say we've been together longer than most marriages.
It's true.
And
Nowadays, yeah.
and we still like each other, And even with the team
Yeah.
now with Dominic and Julie and the people that we work with, we are a great team. There's no egos involved. It's like we're just doing the work. We want to we want to try to get to that truth and investigate these really cool places. Well, the other thing I love about it too is that how many times have we passed by all these beautiful locations right in our own backyard that nobody knows about?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know any of the history and they pass by it every day. So I look at it like, history is going by the wayside in schools. So we're talking about these historical sites that people are passing by. And then we always get the fact that when people see the video, they're like, oh my God, I never knew that was there.
Well, I live on land that the War of 1812 was fought on.
Wow. No, where are you at? Where are you from?
I'm in Ontario, Canada, southwestern Ontario, not far from Niagara.
Wow.
And I'm about 7 kilometers from Battlefield Park, which
Oh my
was where the headquarters are. Michelle and I have had to do a lot of work up here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Michelle, are you guys far from each other or you live close together?
No, probably within about 40, 45
We're
minutes.
best
Okay.
friends.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. That's awesome.
Can you tell?
I can tell. You have to be. You have to be in this
Yeah.
business, right? That's how I feel with Dominic too. I got mad with him though, and he knows this too. He was supposed to do the Mothman Festival with me, but at the last minute he couldn't do it because he had a work thing came up. So I had to drive. I didn't do the drive myself, but I'm glad I did because I did the drive. It was like 7.5 hours to get down there, but it was fun.
Wow.
I got a chance to hang out with the guys from one of my favorite shows is Mountain Monsters, and those guys.
I love those guys.
Oh my
I've never
God.
seen
Yeah.
that. Is that on American television only?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
I
I have to go to Discovery Plus app to get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the comedic side of everything.
Oh,
You
yeah.
need that. That's why you have me.
Exactly. I could tell you guys are a good team. You're like the
She
Laurel,
keeps me in line.
like the Laurel and Hardy of paranormal.
No, she's like the Einstein Tesla, and I'm like Laurel and Hardy.
There you go.
I'm always looking for that lighter note because it's newer to me.
Yeah.
To do this kind of paranormal stuff is new. I'm not an investigator.
Well, Michelle, you know how it is when you're interviewing witnesses, right? And and these people, I'm sure good at this too, discerning the truth from the BS. Because when you're interviewing witnesses and their voices are cracking, they're getting goosebumps, they're having a really hard time getting this out. Something profound happened to them.
And see, that's the point. Whether or not it's something paranormal or not, something is causing them to react the way they are. Something they believe that something has happened to them. And sometimes, yes, it's something that's happened. What is that something?
Exactly.
That's your job, is to figure that out. It's not just to go in my opinion, anyway, for me, it's not just for me to go in and try to capture that evidence and then leave them, amp things up and leave them
Yeah.
high and dry, right? You
Oh,
find
yeah.
yourself,
Totally.
you're a counselor in a way.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, people have messaged me and said, please help me. My house is haunted. Please help me. And I don't do that. We don't do that.
Yes.
I will refer them to somebody that will go in
Yes.
and cleanse their house, but we don't do that. I try to say, look, we're a television production company.
Mhm.
We don't really do that kind of thing, but
Yes.
we've helped a lot of people that way too. That I just had a woman today I was talking to that I guess a friend of hers son. They believe he's demonically possessed, and he just bought like a devil's cross, and all of a sudden things started happening.
Mm.
But she
It's
also,
intention.
well, she said also on the other side of this that he's also on the autism spectrum as well.
Mm,
So he's highly gifted.
mhm.
Yeah, or highly,
Because the mind works differently, right?
exactly. So she had an
Mhm.
exorcist come in.
Oh boy. How'd
Yeah,
that go?
An
and,
actual exorcist?
and she said an actual exorcist came in, and it did. I guess for a little bit it worked, but now he's back into it again.
I feel like if anybody is ever interested in understanding how exorcism works, they should watch the film The Rite, because we're so conditioned to believing that these things go away on the first shot or in 2 days, and that's not the way it works.
Yeah, no, it's you have to do it step by step. There's different levels that you
Exactly.
probably have to keep going.
But a lot of it is mindset as well.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You
totally.
know?
I mean, we don't go into the demonic too much in our
Mhm.
investigations, although we have done a haunted vampire museum down here in my area of Bucks County. It's called the Vampa Museum. If you get a chance, check it out online. Vampa Museum. He's got over 700 vampire killing sets
Wow.
from the
Oh, wow.
from the 17 and 1800s, right?
That's
Mhm.
crazy.
So, I mean, I also have to say, why so many?
Yeah.
What was going on back then? You know?
Is there an epidemic? Like, what? Why so many? One in every household?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean,
Wasn't it like that back then when
it's crazy. I always say to myself, there's always got to be a little bit of truth to the folklore, right?
Yes.
A lot of the stuff. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I mean, if you think about it, Erica, you look at people who came into, settling here into the new world, they would bring with them their ancient tradition and belief systems, vampires,
yeah.
you know,
Well, let me
they
tell you.
still to
Let me.
this day in the old world.
Werewolves, yeah.
Oh my God. Well, let me tell you guys something that happened to us in this museum. So basically, we're doing a series for him called Paranormal Pickers. It's like a play on, American Pickers, but it's
Yeah.
Paranormal Pickers about
I love
paranormal
it.
objects. But it's actually now called Paranormal Activity Research Agency. It's a whole long story, but anyway, so we're doing this investigation, and we're in the museum, and Dominic. It was me, Dominic, Ed Crimmy is the owner, and Julie Krause. We started the investigation in the barn that's on the property. The barn, it's basically beautiful antiques. I mean, just unbelievable stuff if you ever get a chance to get out here. But Julie and Dominic felt compelled to go to the barn. And so we went to the barn. We started there. They kept going. And so basically it's the museum, and then the barn is across the lawn. And so they get into the barn. And all of a sudden, we're all there, and they get pulled to the top floor of the barn to the back. And they're in an area that I had gone in earlier in the day to do some B-roll, and something happened to me back in that area earlier. An object fell and it startled me. It didn't hit me, but it fell.
Mhm.
So Dominic and Julie are getting pulled back there. They're getting pulled to the back here. So we get up there and we're looking around. Julie's like, I don't know, but I feel like something's going to fall. And sure enough, like a couple of weeks later, Ed had a chandelier fell on top of him.
Oh,
And
wow.
he had like a mark to prove it. So
Wow.
he was okay. So we're up there, and as we're sitting there talking about that, we all hear this like that. It sounded like a kazoo. It was like and we all heard it. And I know we were hungry. It wasn't our stomachs.
I was gonna say, yeah, you got to get a handle on that.
We hear that sound, and Dominic goes, "That's the same sound I heard in the museum when you were interviewing Julie." I was doing a section with Julie there, interviewing her, and Ed and Dominic were in the museum by this doll room. Okay, so the doll room that's there, it's got a whole bunch of marionettes in there. It's got a bunch of weird, like a big clown, evil clown face.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing, it's got a Burmese doll that is about 5 foot tall.
Mm.
Ugh.
It's got a beautiful Asian inspired face, but it's got real hair.
Ugh, I just got heebie-jeebies all up my back.
Okay, well, you're going to get more because the family that had it donated it to the museum because they were having all kinds of weird stuff going on with it.
Yeah.
So Dominic goes, "Well, that was the same sound I heard by the doll room." And I said to Dominic when we were in the barn, I said, "Let's go down to the doll room and let's recap like what you heard." So about a week, we stopped the investigation. Everybody was exhausted that particular night. So we went back about 2 weeks later, and we started where Dominic was standing in front of the doll room telling me what he had heard. And he was like, "Well, I was standing here with Ed and I heard the sound. And to me, it sounded like the voice box of these dolls with the batteries dying." Well, first of all, those dolls don't have any voice boxes.
No.
They're all older than that. There's no electronics.
Yeah, especially with real hair.
So as we're filming him saying that, as he says the voice box of the battery's dying, we hear like that. We heard the same thing, like on cue.
But what an unusual sound.
It was just weird. Yeah, it's just
Yes.
it was like a voice. I don't know if it was a voice or what. You can't really discern it from the headphones when listening to it. But anyway, so Dominic freaks out. He said that something felt like, when you just got the heebie-jeebies, Amelia.
Yeah, I know, crazy word.
He felt that same thing, like something was reaching out to touch him.
Yeah.
So much so that he's not going back to the museum. He's not going.
I don't have a problem with dolls. I have a few dolls and they don't bother me at all. The most issues I ever had was with my grandmother's doll, actually. But when it comes to hearing real hair, it sets a whole different.
I have a collection of like mourning pieces with real hair.
Yeah, that's giving like huge, chills, but not fear. Just
no.
I hope I hope there isn't a spirit stuck there. That's where I'm coming from.
I was the only calm one there that night because these guys are freaking out. Ed and Dominic both heard that. We all heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was doing a book signing for my new book, and I wound up. I was doing a book signing at the Vampa Museum, and a mother and daughter were in that doll room. They were, and it says there, "Don't touch anything. Don't even stare into that room."
Michelle and I'd
Don't
be like,
look at it. Yeah.
They're taking video in the room and they're talking to the doll, and she comes back out and lets me hear the video. And they said, "We got something on video. What is this?" And it's the same damn sound that we heard.
And you went through, like, none of these they're old dolls. They wouldn't have batteries or anything like that, right?
Nope. They don't move. Nothing is in there. There's no batteries. There's nothing plugged in except the lights, but nothing, nothing moving around in there.
That's crazy.
Sounds like a spirit trying to communicate.
It's so weird. It's very.
It's just such an unusual sound.
It is, and it was just weird because I'm like, and with their video, the thing went. It sounded like it was laughing. It was going like that. It was just Michelle. I'll have to email you that clip.
Okay, I'd love it. Yeah,
I wonder if it was trying to manipulate something in the room to communicate.
I have no clue.
Well, I mean, it's energy, right? So they can use energy sources, but it's just such an unusual sound. But I mean, not unheard of. They do find a way, whatever it takes.
And he doesn't have any animals in there. That was the first thing that we thought of.
Yeah.
channel.
You would have known if that was demonic. It would have come out a lot louder.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
so that's the one I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, it never ends. I mean, there's just stuff that happens, and it's funny. I always blame Dominic too because it's like literally like 20 minutes into the investigation, stuff happens. You know, so yeah,
Because they know that he will recognize or be able to communicate. So he's the one that they all come swarming around as well, right? Because they all have something to say.
yep, exactly. And he's been doing a lot of spirit readings lately, psychic readings, you know, on a lot of our events. So the energy is ramping up even more, you know.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely. And the colder it gets as well, right? It seems to be through research that I've worked with people through the years. In the summer it's dead quiet and then they turn on the air conditioning. And it's like all of a sudden things are going on. And I've heard other researchers say, you know, like spirits, much like us in the dead, hot, humid, feel weighed down. Like they don't move around as much. Whereas in the wintertime, there's a lot more static in the atmosphere. And
True.
central air creates that cold, staticky
dryness.
and it's easy, it dries everything out. And apparently this allows them to move around a little bit more. So it's an interesting theory. And the only way I could test it was just say, well, just turn, you know, indulge me and turn off the air conditioning for a few hours or a couple of days. And they do, and things go quiet again. It doesn't mean if it goes away. It just means that maybe they don't have the energy to be able to project. You know,
it's I really believe that too. The other thing is too with UFOs. I mean, we had a huge UFO flap last year. We're getting people sending me drawings of what they're seeing. This low flying, hovering object that's multiple lights just hovering, and it's over our area here in Bucks County. And even getting video of this thing. A guy up the street from me says, "Hey guys, I've been doing this. I've been getting this weird object's been going over my house like for the last year. Would you guys want to investigate this?" I'm like, "Oh hell yeah, let's go up."
Yeah.
So we went up there and he showed me the video that he's got. I'm like, "Oh my God, what the heck is this thing?" And it's exactly what people were describing. And we even did the night investigation there, and he was using a laser pointer. I know you shouldn't use laser pointers.
He'd catch a pilot on a 747.
But he's
Oh my gosh.
a laser pointer to show us where he saw this object.
Yeah.
And then in the sky, something lit up, like something blinked on and then off.
Oh,
I've seen that.
it was answering.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It was very weird. So
was responding.
we got that on video too.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, my own UFO sighting, I was always on the fence with like the Bigfoot stuff and Dogman until we had those encounters. And I was more of a believer in UFOs because I've had several encounters of those over the years, especially in 2016. This was February of 2016. My girlfriend and I are going over this bridge outside of New Hope, Pennsylvania. We're going over. She rented a farmhouse she had at the time in Stockton, New Jersey. We were going back to her house, and so we had to go over the Delaware River. You know, Washington crossed the that Delaware River. As we're going over the bridge in this area called Center Bridge, I'm all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, we see 5 orange orbs that just appeared out of nowhere. They looked like, as soon as they came in, it looked like they were like swirling lava that came into the atmosphere.
Oh.
And it was the weirdest thing. And they were not flares. They weren't military flares because this was a populated area. So anyway, yeah, and you know how it is. So I'm like, in my rational mind, I'm like, well, wait a minute. There's a restaurant right down there. Maybe these are Chinese lanterns that they just lit off.
And you know what? I believe that because I saw one that looked like a Chinese lantern, just one, not 6 like you have, and it just floated across, bright orange and the shape of a Chinese lantern.
And it was a Chinese lantern?
No. It was some anomaly that came up over like so close to the car. We were just like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
You should make those things illegal though.
Exactly. They should be. But I'll tell you, these things were only a few hundred feet above the bridge. So they were really low. So naturally, I'm going in my pocket to get my phone. I go to take a picture, and of course, the flash goes off at the car. Then I take the flash off, and I was able to get one, and she saw them like starting to disappear, and one by one, they just started disappearing. But
Crazy.
I was able to get one shot,
Yeah.
and then I went online and looked, and other people had these experiences that night in the area.
Wow.
So it was really I felt really like blessed or lucky to see that. You
Hmm.
know, that was really something to see. And then she was at the farmhouse a week later. And remember that Mitch Miller show back in the 50s, 60s? It was Follow the Bouncing Ball. You know, it's
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
feeling really left out now.
and now we're showing our age, right? So
No, I think we're about the same age. It's just that I think it's American television I'm missing.
I have
um,
American
Different
television.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got to get back. You got to get back with us. So she's looking out the window, and this farmhouse was on 65 acres. It was a beautiful place, but it sat way back from the road.
Oh,
And
perfect.
in front of the house was a big wheat field, right? So she's looking out there, and she sees this ball of light just going across the wheat, like bouncing up and down, bouncing, 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 and all of a sudden shot straight up in the air. So very, very weird. I wish I was on a gig, so I didn't get a chance to see that.
That's tough. There's a lot of things like that flashing light. There's a place not far from here, and once in a blue moon, and you can connect with it. If you know where it is, just go and ask it, because I've driven by a couple of times. Sometimes I look for it and I don't get anything. Other times I'm like, where are you? Just
Yeah.
telepathically, and it'll go just
Yeah.
like that.
Yep, exactly.
And that's over the Niagara River.
Wow.
But
Very
but,
cool.
but over the US side, like I see in and around that area, but it's over like where the falls and such would be, like just probably closer to where the whirlpool would be,
Yeah.
but high up.
Well, yeah, it's there's so much going on. It's like you're just there's again, I always say there's a little bit of truth to the folklore. I'm sorry, Alan's disconnected from me. I guess I'm not like connecting somehow, but hey, it's everybody's different.
Everybody's different. Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, so I love this stuff, and that's why we just keep doing it, man. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah. That's the objective, I think, is it's a form, to me, like somebody recently asked me, what does the paranormal mean to you? Can you do a video for us? And I haven't done it yet because I really wanted to give it some thought, because what it meant to me when I started in this field and what it means to me now are two entirely different things. Because back then it's just, oh, I just want to get in there. I want to research it. But I realize as I've come into myself with a connection of everything that surrounds it, that I always say high strangeness, because it's so vast. And for me, I've evolved so much from just the entire experience of the places I've been to, the spirits I've come into contact with, the people, that I've helped over the years, just everything. And it's made me reflect back into childhood and go, oh my God, wait a minute. This connection has always been there. And
Mhm.
it gives you this sense of awareness. So it's really hard. It's easy to speak it, but it's hard to really put it together in here. There's the thrill of going out and having this experience. Like Dogman, makes me a little nervous. But what I want to encounter, yes, I have what I believe it was a dire wolf type of encounter.
Oh wow.
Uh, oh
Oh,
yeah,
they're beautiful.
footprints, everything, just like
Yeah,
big
I
as
want
your
one.
hand. Biggest thing I've ever seen. I grew up north with timber wolves and wolves. I definitely know my wolves, and this was something I've never seen.
Wow.
But I'm gonna throw caution to the wind. Like you guys just dive right in it,
Oh
and you
yeah.
have the experience, and it makes you that believer. And do you feel, because this is how I would feel? I would feel like I want to just go back and just keep doing it.
Well, yeah, because
That's hot.
I think it's like a personal. It's like a personal. You've got personal connections. You've got a vested interest in this work because of these things that have happened to you.
Mhm.
And or to all of us. So
Mhm.
And what is that truth? That's the whole thing that we're trying to figure out. Like, what is it? What are we experiencing?
Mhm.
You know, and is it coming from us? Is it are we manipulating this reality ourselves? I
Mhm.
don't I don't really buy into that too much as far as like our thought process goes. You know, we are being paranormal. I don't believe that.
Mhm.
That we're able to experience these things because our antenna, you know how it is. Most people's antenna are attuned to these things,
Mhm. Mhm.
that are into it. You know, or maybe there's some people that don't even want to see it, and then that's how I went into the Dogman sighting.
Skeptics get everything.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I went into it not expecting to see anything or
Mhm.
experiencing anything, and then that's when all the activity happened.
Mhm.
So I would definitely encourage your listeners to check out our video or videos
Mhm.
on Eric Mintel Investigates on our YouTube channel, and
Yes.
you know it's just there's so many things there, and you know make a judgment for yourself because again a lot of the stuff that's there you can't write. It's just happened.
But that's the thing. Definitely gonna go over and I'm gonna subscribe to your channel and support you, and I'm definitely
I
going
did.
to check it out because
And
I just feel that, all we can do is share. You know, everybody I think looks for the $1,000,000 piece of footage or recording. I've got hundreds of hours of growling things, and it could be ET, could be, I mean, over the course of 20 years, you can imagine. But a lot of them have come from a handful of locations. So I've got incredible photographs, amazing video. But you know what? Like, I used to send all of my voice recordings to a guy in the States who used to teach EVP lessons, how to work with EVPs and work with them. And he needed material. I was never been weird about my stuff. So I was like, yeah, because if you don't put it somewhere for somebody to look at it and experience it, what are you doing it for? Does it just take it to the grave with you? No, you're not going to do that.
Right.
You want that to get out there and you show, look, I'm capable of getting this kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Because
mhm.
not everybody who researches is going to have these experiences. I believe there are those out there that things find you and they gravitate to you.
Oh yeah, totally. I the you know Stan Gordon. Do you know Stan
Ah,
Gordon, a researcher?
no, may
Um,
probably not.
he's in the States, but he's in Western Pennsylvania. And
Okay.
now Stan's a great researcher, phenomenal author, but
Yep.
he never had an encounter. And he'll tell
Wow.
you, the first one to tell you that he's never. And most researchers and they haven't had encounters.
Mhm.
You know, not most, I would say maybe few,
Mhm.
but I'll tell you, you know, the the one thing why I got so into this is not only because I've heard about it all my life and been fascinated by it. In let's see, 1997, I never knew this. I never knew this person existed, but so I was on my way to a gig
Mhm.
in Pennsylvania here, and I was on this dark road, back road, and I'm going at a good clip. This is November of 1997. So
Mhm.
it's dark and it's a little wet out. It's got a little slick on the roads. And I'm going at a pretty good clip down this dark road and all of a sudden a deer jumps out. Boom, and I hit it. And I felt
Oh,
terrible. I was like, "Oh
That's
yeah,
hard.
it
Yeah.
happens.
I felt terrible." So
Mhm.
I slammed the brakes on and me and this deer are going 60 feet by the time we slid and stopped.
Mhm.
And together. So I get out of the car and I'm looking at this poor thing and I'm like, feeling so terrible. And it's dark and it's like right in the headlights of my car on the ground, right?
Oh.
Now
Mhm.
I'm a piano player. In the woods behind me, a woman's voice says, "How's your hands?" And I'm like,
Oh,
and
crazy.
I turned around and here, I kid you not, this woman in white came out of the woods
Mhm.
and she looked to me like when you have someone stand in front of your car that has the headlights on, like if
Mhm.
you're looking at the headlights and they're standing there, it's
Mhm.
very blurry. You don't really see them that well. But
Mhm.
this woman was all in white. What got me was she reached down, took this 200-pound deer by the ear and dragged it off the road like it was light as a feather.
Oh, see, that's That's insane.
So,
Oh, it sounds
Yeah,
like some kind of
that's-
forest fairy.
so, so I was like, and she goes to me, get in your car and get out of here. And
Howie, hi, Howie wants to know, did she have jet black hair?
no, she was all white, all in white.
All white.
So she says, get in your car and get out of here. And I did. I was stunned. I didn't say anything. I just was like, I did that. Told the guys what happened at the gig. You know, they were freaked out. And I went back the next day thinking maybe there's a house there that there was somebody in the woods that jumped this deer out, and that's how I hit it. But I went back there. There was no houses there. No, nothing. It was all woods. So
You're lucky your car wasn't damaged. I've seen people hit deers.
yeah. Oh, it was damaged. I had a big.
But you can still drive it.
I was able to drive it. It was my hood was all dented in.
Wow.
So that's how bad it was. But it was drivable. So that was a good thing at least. So I always say, like Howie's just saying here, earthly angel. I always thought of her as my guardian angel. You know, for years I thought about that, and because there was no malevolence there. But the weird thing was, why? How did she know that? Why? What was the first thing she said? How's your hands?
Well, if she's your angel, she would know. She knew you before you were even born.
Oh yeah.
Have you had other experiences with her?
No, but my dad had. My father did.
Okay.
So now it gets weirder. So my father in the mid 70s. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My father was a partier.
Right.
He was known to come home like, you know, this mid 70s where it's everybody. So, and I'm probably like, you know, 6 or 7 at that point. This is maybe around 74, 75. So he came home late one night from a night out, and he swears he was sober this night. And we lived in that duplex this is a place in Upper Black Eddy, Pennsylvania. So we lived on the bottom, and there was somebody living at the top, and we lived across from the Delaware River. That river flows through Bucks County. It's like a major part of Bucks County. It's the famous river, you know, that George Washington crossed the Delaware. So anyway, we're living across from that, and he's cooking a steak. This is about 2:30 in the morning. He's cooking a little steak on the grill, a little hibachi that he has on the porch. So he's cooking the steak, and all of a sudden, he looks over at the river, and he sees something white floating on the river. And as his eyes are adjusting, he's like, "Oh my God, it's a woman in these long flowing robes and hair is white, floating." And then she was about a quarter of a mile away. When she turned to look at him, her face came right up to his face.
Oh,
from like a quarter mile, and then turned back and went back floating on the river. And as she's doing that, she's saying, "I'm going home. I'm going home." And he said those words echoed through the valley, that you could hear this woman.
wow.
Well, a couple of years ago on his deathbed, I said, "Dad, did that really happen?" And he swears that it happened. And I had heard that story from him over the years. He never wavered from that. So, and then come to find out later, there is this woman in white that has been seen in Bucks County. And there are these women in white that are seen throughout the world, apparently. So, but here in Bucks County.
There are. I wonder if it's the same woman, just because
that's what I was thinking too.
The local thing, you know, the connection that she had to you through your father, or being local to your area.
I was thinking about that too. Like, could there be some kind of connection there? Haven't had any encounters again. But yeah, like how he's saying, connection with the father and son. You know, my dad, I think, was a psychic, because he was getting, like a couple of years after this, he was getting these premonitions of something like white on the road in front of the house. And he just kept getting this like white stuff on the road in front of the house. And in front of this other house. We moved a lot when I was a kid. So we were in another house here in Bucks County. And so he kept seeing this white stuff. And so one night, 3 a.m, we get a knock on the door, and here it's a truck driver that wanted to use the phone because his milk truck just overturned and there was milk.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool. That's cool.
crazy.
No.
He had gone to a psychic, and the psychic said, you have a very blue aura around you.
Mhm.
And she said, well, your son has one even greater. And I was like, I don't know how, but maybe it's because of my music, because I could literally sit down and play anything.
I find
Mhm.
artistic people are like that also.
Yeah.
You just use a different part of the brain, a different part of your psyche
Yeah.
Yeah.
to be able to
And
compose and write.
your aura changes as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff, but I'll tell you, it was just really, really cool.
It'd be cool to see your aura while you're playing the piano.
Yeah, it would be.
Mhm.
Sorry, Wayne had said it, and asked me a question earlier. Do you recall her exact words? Did she say "get out of
I
here"?
know where he's going with it. So
And I said no. She said to me, "You better get in your car and get out of here, or
Wow.
get on,
Okay.
get off the road and get out of. Get in your car and get out of here." So it wasn't anything mean. Like it
no,
wasn't.
I'm wondering if he's trying to place, let's say, if it was a spirit. I mean, spirits of Victorian times, for example, or older would have proper speech and how they speak, as
Oh
opposed
yeah,
to a
yeah, yeah.
newer spirit would be get out of here, would be
Yeah.
more slang,
Yeah, right.
like what my talk to text does to me. I'm gonna do this. I don't even
It's
speak
worse
that
than
way.
slang your talk to text.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes total sense, and I never thought about that before. No, she said, "You better get in your car and get out of here." So
Okay.
it was like that kind of like talk. But yeah, uh, Wayne just said frequencies. Frequencies. Yeah, I
Mhm.
always say this, that I think people are, again, they're either connected to these spirits, like they're picked to see these entities,
Mhm.
or their frequencies and their antenna is more attuned
Mhm.
to those experiences, or to those energies, and that's why more people are having those.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Nope, hold on. I just went and missed something. Here we go. All right. Yes, this is what I was looking for. This
Yes.
is the next one. Okay. Okay. Just trying to get everybody up there. So we're slowly getting to that top of the hour. So what do you have coming up? Because it is the season. I know
Oh
you've
yeah,
probably got things coming up. Do you have any
I've got
investigations
this.
coming?
I've
Okay.
got this. If you can see this, this is my new book.
Oh, what? My
Oh,
God, you should have.
congratulations.
Yes, you should have sent me a picture. We would have put it up on screen.
It's Eric Mintel Investigates, Casebook Investigations, 2016 and beyond. And
Beautiful.
it's available on Amazon, and
Okay.
it's an easy read. You could see a lot of the cases that we've done. There's pictures and stuff in here. We talk about the beast. We talk about Dogman,
Beautiful.
ghosts, UFOs, you name it,
Mhm.
and all of the stuff that we've been on. And it's amazing, and it's available on Amazon, so you guys can get it up in Canada,
Oh, yeah.
and your listeners could check it out. But it's been great. I've been doing a lot of book signings and book tours and things like that, so I'm doing that. We've also been doing a lot of premieres of a lot of the videos that we've completed, that
Mhm.
we might have completed a few months ago. Now we've gotten them premiered. Everything from a haunted library to a haunted winery to, oh my God, to everything, to Bigfoot. And so they're on my YouTube channel now. And then so most of the year I'm doing a lot of productions and paranormal and video, shooting video. um, and yes, Howie, you may. um,
Howie
so
has a radio show as well. So,
oh
yes,
nice.
Howie, you may.
Please do. But yeah, and then so most of the year I'm doing I'm doing the paranormal stuff, and then believe it or not, at the end of the year, like November, December, my jazz quartet does our Charlie Brown Christmas concerts.
Oh, I love that.
So we do
I
the
love it.
Vince Guaraldi stuff, and we do a lot of my own original. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I love it. I love classical music. I think it surprises a lot of people, but I can't help it. My
Mhm.
dad, he's self-taught. He passed now, but he was self-taught in strings, violin, mandolin, guitar,
Wow.
and yeah. But way back in his lineage, I have to get the name because I can't remember. It was literally in the 600s, northern Italy. It's an uncle of his that actually toured with the Royal Orchestra.
Wow.
So a lot of us have music we're gifted at music in our
Well,
family.
I get it. You know why? Because
Yeah.
environment is everything. If you have that in the house growing up,
Yes. I have
yeah.
his guitar in my office because I just can't let go of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I always say anymore too. I think like my mentor in jazz was Dave Brubeck. So Dave was very good to me as far as that goes, and I think that's really something now in this day and age. There's not enough good mentors out there.
No.
That's
Young
true.
people.
Yeah,
But so
that's how he proposed to my mom.
oh my God, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Under her window.
Mark is in the UK, by the way. He's a freaking champion because it's 4 in the morning there right now.
Mark,
He's so nice. He always joins us. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mark.
Mark, you're awesome, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
He's a
it's late.
champion.
3
my
a.m. there.
Wait,
4
Richard,
a.m.
you can't go. We're not done yet.
I know. I have to sign off and stuff. So okay, so website. It's been scrolling across,
Oh
but
yeah, thank you
we
so
have a
much.
huge audio listership because we're also FM. So
Oh,
if you want
beautiful.
to, yes.
Oh, good. Richard's still there. Good. Don't go anywhere. So no, I want to thank everybody for listening in. I always say the audience is obviously the extra member of what we do because whether or not good or bad of what we do, if they can connect with us or not, this is what we're talking. At least we're having a conversation, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But yes, people could find my website ericmintelinvestigates.org, and then but mainly go onto my YouTube channel. It's Eric Mintel Investigates on YouTube, and like and subscribe to that. You will have a ton of videos to look at. I do a lot of interview shows too. So we could turn the tables here, Michelle and Amelia, and I could interview you guys.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. So
that would be fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody's got some great stories. And I look at it this way. At the end of the day, right, everybody's got a story.
There's lots. There's a lot of great stories out there. This is what I love about doing this.
Yeah.
And hanging with people like you is hearing your stories.
But those stories don't have to be paranormal, though.
No.
Everybody's got a story, right?
Yeah,
so it's whatever it is.
Are you familiar with John Wooler?
No.
Who John Wooler is? John Wooler was the youngest VP at Virgin Records.
Okay.
We first started with Richard Branson. He's going to hate me for bragging about him because he's a dear friend. He's had 28 Grammy nominations. He's won 5. And I sent him your information.
Oh my God. Thank you.
So, yeah. He's semi-retired now, but he's working more now than he did before.
Well, I'm 31 years in jazz, right? I'm a 31-year overnight success.
Right.
So, but
yeah,
you've got some great
he
credentials.
signed Van Morrison and a few other people. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, okay. So investigates.org, YouTube channel, anything else?
I just spoke at the Mothman Festival in September. Then I spoke at the Exeter UFO Festival. Oh, I do want to say on March 8th of 2025, if there's anybody in the Pennsylvania area or beyond, we are having the 2nd annual Bucks County Paracon at Bucks County Community College on March 8th, 2025 from 11 to 7 p.m. We've got Dave Schrader is going to be speaking from the whole.
Nice.
We've got Charles Halt from the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident. We've got Stan Gordon. We've got Peter Robbins. Beautiful. We've got myself and Dominic Sattel. And then we've got Tom Carey's going to be speaking. We had this first one last year. It was a smash hit success.
Good.
I had no idea.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I thought maybe there'd be 100 people there. There was like 650 people showed up in a 3.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good for you.
And all the vendors sold out of all their goods. The authors sold out of all their books. So if anybody wants any information, they could contact me through my email, emqjazz@gmail.com. But you guys should, if you make a road trip, it's definitely well worth it.
It's my favorite state. I love Pennsylvania.
It's only 3 hours away. Do you do this every year at the same time?
This is our 2nd annual. Yeah. So this is going to be every year because, we figure nothing's really going on in March, so March.
In March. Okay. Well, there's still time for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I would love to see you guys there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, come for a visit. You never know.
You never know. Literally, I've driven to Grove City on my own. So
You guys are only 3 hours from Pennsylvania.
three and a
No,
half.
Pennsylvania is like a 5-hour drive.
Okay, but you
Oh,
are.
okay. We're in
It is.
Pennsylvania.
No,
Grove
no,
City was 3.5 hours
The
for
way
me.
Amelia drives.
Yeah.
Well, when you hit
Anywhere I've been
Pennsylvania,
to,
you can
it
drive
depends
really
where.
fast. I couldn't even put the gas pedal hard. I'm not used to driving that fast.
No, actually, Philadelphia is what I'm thinking of. So yeah.
Yeah, so we're probably like 60 miles northeast of Philly.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
I'm an hour north of Buffalo.
But
Yes.
it was, it was great, Eric. I mean, we should almost look at having come back on with some of the people that you've investigated for,
Yes.
to be able to do some cross conversations as to what they experienced and while investigating with you, and especially with the before and after, because sometimes the locations are so different after people have gone in there and acknowledged them.
Exactly.
And really communicated with them. But I think that might be kind of fun as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
And I will be in touch, and I will get you the name to the people in Florida.
That'd be great.
Tim and Wynette, they're wonderful, wonderful people. And they've investigated the swamp ape down there for like a long, long time. They know where to find it pretty much. They're very successful.
That would
Love
be
your
awesome.
energy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Eric.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, everyone, it's been a fantastic show. Thank you to everyone in the chat room. We appreciate you all so very much for hanging out. Big thank you to Eric. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee. Big thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justice Snicker. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis. Huge thank you to Eric Mintel. Tomorrow night, another great guest, repeat guest, Jack Roth. And he's going to be here discussing one of his books, The Ghost Soldiers of Gettysburg.
Mhm.
I love Gettysburg, been a couple times and just had a few experiences there myself. It was just an amazing place.
Super cool.
So hopefully, you guys can tune in for that. You don't want to miss it. So tomorrow night, same time, same station, and we will see you then. Thanks. Good night, everybody.